On May 15, 1829, near the Susquehanna River near Harmony, Pennsylvania, the young prophet Joseph Smith and Oliver Cowdery retreated to a secluded area to pray about the need for baptism. It was then that the resurrected John the Baptist appeared to Joseph and Oliver and conferred upon them the priesthood of Aaron. Oliver wrote,
"What joy, what wonder, what amazement! His voice, though mild, pierced to the center, and his words, 'I am thy fellow servant,' dispelled every fear. We listened, we gazed, we admired."
Subsequently, Peter, James, and John restored the Melchizedek priesthood, and the church was officially organized on April 6, 1830. In the footsteps of the prophet Joseph and Oliver, we in the Aaronic priesthood today continue the work of building God's kingdom. Next in importance to a boy's family should be the association he has with his Aaronic priesthood quorum. In direct support of the quorum presidency is the ward bishopric, who call a man to teach and advise each quorum. Working together as a team, they build each boy spiritually. These advisors supervise activities involving their quorums. Each quorum presidency should be in place and schooled in their duties. The bishopric is responsible to teach and inspire the advisors. The bishop, as president of the Aaronic priesthood in his ward, with his counselors and quorum advisors, leads the Aaronic priesthood. Working closely in support of each boy's family, they must continually provide significant opportunities for each young man to stretch his soul in service. Each boy needs experience in leadership, in speaking, in service projects, and fellowshipping, and in building proper relationships with young women. Young men do not usually become inactive in the church because of too many significant things to do. If a young man has witnessed for himself the gospel working in people's lives, he will not walk away from his duties in the kingdom and leave them undone.
I had a call from Bill's mom and dad yesterday, and they're really concerned about his inactivity. They wanted to see if there's something we could do to help. Did you have a chance to see if he could make it to our quorum meeting today?
Well, John and I walked home with him on Thursday. We just about had him committed.
What about getting him involved in some kind of activity?
Hey, can I have that new leather ball?
Coach has got it. How long are you gonna have it for?
About an hour.
Hey, Bill.
Hi, guys.
Gonna shoot some baskets?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick around for a while.
Hey, we'll see you in a minute. Hey, could I get a ball? Think now's the time to talk to Bill? What should we say to him?
We'll just tell him that we need him.
If he doesn't listen, we'll just work him over. What's going on?
He is super sharp, Stan.
Told you.
We can get him to stick with us. Maybe we can win a few games this year.
You talking about Bill? I don't know how you guys did it, but I'm sure glad you got him here.
We handle it just like you do when we go out to welcome any new quorum member.
Yep. Just told him we needed him.
You guys really set a good example.
Thanks, Brother Dalton.
Before we start discussing our next service project, I'd like to thank you on behalf of the bishop for your help with Sister Johnson's last week.
Through our service that day, we fulfilled the words of the Lord, where he said that the Aaronic priesthood should watch over the church always and be with and strengthen them.
We all had a good time that day. I know that that project helped increase the feeling of brotherhood within the quorum.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, look who did all the work.
That's true.
Okay, the bishop has asked if two of us could assist the priest in administering the sacrament at the rest home. So I was thinking Terry and Roger.
Nice shot, Bruce.
Hi, Bob.
Hello, Bishop.
Keeping an eye on the brethren, I see.
You know, you have to stay close to them or they'll leave you in the dust.
Boy, isn't that the truth?
We are rearing a royal generation. Bishops should find opportunities to talk to their young men, to be sensitive to their fears and needs, and to listen carefully as they talk about their families. We must remember always that we stand in our offices only as a support of a father's leadership in the home.
See, Bill's out again tonight. Boy, that's great. Doing a great job, Bob.
Not me. The Quorum presidency has really caught the vision of their calling. They're the ones who reached out to Bill.
Well, that's even better, isn't it? Been wanting to talk to that young man for some time. Could be maybe now's the time, do you think, Bob?
You took the words right out of my mouth, Bishop.
You take a shot, Bishop.
You bishoprics and quorum advisors have a special responsibility. Each young man's family needs the support of organized and well-planned quorums, where a young man, no matter his interests, can prepare himself for a mission and future leadership roles as a righteous father of his own sons and daughters and a bearer of the holy priesthood.
You got a few minutes right now.
Sure.
I understand you made the honor roll this term in school.
Okay, you guys, let's get another game going.
And you young men, especially those of you who are called as quorum assistants and members of presidencies, will, as did the prophet Joseph and Oliver, experience the joys of service and sacrifice as you become righteous priesthood examples, fellowshipping, teaching, training, and planning worthwhile activities for your friends in the quorum.
I always remember the statement that I'd rather see a sermon than hear one. And as our young people, we sometimes think we're pulling the wool over their eyes, but we're not. They're fully conscious of what we say and what we do, and if they parallel. I look back and see in a ward where there is both young and old, and there's a great strength from those that have been around a long time, because the youth see that they have been through part of their life or a good portion of their life and are still faithful. And that gives them an anchor in the storm of what goes on in life.
As I reflect back on my life when I was in the Aaronic priesthood, there were a couple of things that stand out in my mind. One was a situation where our family had gone on an outing to another city, a place where we hadn't been before, and I was going into a restaurant near where we were, and I saw my advisor sitting at the counter with a cigarette in his mouth. I made a special point not to let him see me, but I can still remember the real ache that I had and the feelings of disappointment and seeing that happen, because he was one of those individuals that you kind of put up on a pedestal when you're young, and he was my teacher on Sunday. Another example that I remember, I had one advisor that was so completely dedicated and committed to doing everything that he could for me that I was so impressed that I vowed that someday I would hope to be in the same position that they were so that I could somehow give back something that I'd received.
And I think that the understanding that parents can render and can give is not something that can be replaced by anyone, not by a bishop or an advisor or even a friend. They need that strength, and the role of parenthood is the greatest responsibility on the face of the earth.
An effective advisor in my children's lives have really helped out. Ones that didn't take life too seriously, but yet were concerned with the boys as individuals. My boys weren't necessarily the sportsmen, and oftentimes we find the emphasis on sportsmen. But those that were considered as individuals, as important as individuals, they got a lot of it from their advisors.
Well, it's talked about a lot as a preparatory priesthood. And for me, it was a time to become aware of doing something that was done with the authority of the Lord, and something that wasn't just an assignment that anyone had, but that you had to be worthy for and be called for. And I think just developing that respect for an ordinance like the sacrament or things like that carries through into your Melchizedek priesthood duties and prepares you for them. And also gives you association with people like the bishop, like your quorum advisors, who are active people and who are striving toward spiritual growth.
Well, they're definitely a royal generation, and the Lord tells us that they have been saved for these last days for a purpose, and I think that purpose is to prepare for the second coming of the Savior. And I think that, again, we can't de-emphasize at all their importance, and the fact that they hold the Aaronic priesthood, and the fact that they have special duties to perform. And the most important thing we do, I believe, each week is to partake of the sacrament. And those young men, in essence, are totally in charge of that ordinance. And they prepare that, and they bless it, and they serve that to us as members of the church. What a great responsibility that is. And if they take that role, and if they really catch the vision of that, what a great influence they can be.